You should look at the ratio in our conversation here right now. It's exactly the same. Like
It's
on a
an
broader
absolute
conversation.
sausage fest. We know.
No.
Hello, ladies. Welcome to a place where you can be comfortable in yourselves and feel strong and independent. The Shay and Wilson Show. Joining us today are Timaley, who's in America currently, and Kyle Roth. He's a man. Don't go near him. Kyle Rothfuss over there, and Frank, and the Wilson. He's kind of effeminate, so he's okay. And then Shay, of course, he's just way too manly for any of us to look at. He kind of negates the entire movement that we're trying to push through. Today is the feminism. No, not feminism. Fuck that. Sexism in games discussion. On The Sauce, our new moniker. Worst podcast ever. And this was inspired a lot by the tropes versus women in video games nonsense that was going on, and some other articles that we read, and we were just like, what the fuck? You know, that kind of stuff. Raging about it. And, what do you think, Tim? I want to ask you first of all, like, what about, like, all these complaints and shit about the women in video games being, just in general, just being, like, you know, paper thin, archetypes and stuff? Do you think there's like any weight or value, or does it even fucking matter to you? Like, does it fucking matter at all? It doesn't matter to me.
Well, one, it's the same with guys in the freaking game. They're all the same.
Yes, guys. Every character is an archetype all the time.
Yeah. Two, I'm a fat, ugly girl, so to play pretty hot chick is pretty good. So.
Hang on, back up. We need people to watch this show, Timley. Pretend to be you.
So can we just like cut that or something?
Yeah, I'll just be like, I'll like edit in, I'm a fine piece of ass, you know, in that place.
Oh, here, let me say it. I'm like a hot chick, and
there you go.
It feels really good to play another hot chick, you know.
There you go. Yeah, but like, I know, like playing tunes with you on, you know, World of Warcraft or anything else, Tara, you love making the sexiest, gankiest things you can make, right?
Well,
like, I've seen you make them.
Yeah, that's so much fun. But I also play like trolls, and I made a male character because he was big and furry. It's like, oh my god, you're so cute. And
all right, let's not get off topic. But yeah, like, you have no problem at all with the crazy over-sexualized Terra, whatever, blood elves, night elves.
God no, because it's a lot of fun. It's like, it makes the clothes look pretty, and
exactly, like, you want to see, if you're gonna be playing a game for hours on end, you want to look at a hot ass, right?
Well, yeah, you want to look at something pretty, but it's you know, it's not real life, so it doesn't really matter all that fucking much.
Well, I think that
from reality.
The big issue here, though, is not looks and all that. It's that they seem to associate good looks with airheadedness and uselessness. Like, at what point did it become that to be a smart, useful, meaningful, whatever woman, you had to be fuck ugly?
Yeah.
When was the last time Zelda did something useful?
Why can't you be a hot chick who loves to cook her husband dinner? Like, why does that make you any less of a woman than someone who's a businesswoman? That's what
actually,
I don't understand.
On Zelda, Kyle, was it like which world? In the Wind Waker world and the Phantom Hourglass world, wasn't she like a freaking pirate?
In one of them, yeah.
She was a pirate captain and stuff.
Something like that. It's been a long time since I played a Zelda.
Yeah, Wilson brings up a good point. Like, what, like, okay, for example, the
better example would be Princess Peach, who's consistently useless.
Yeah, but she's an awesome character in Brawl, and she's like, you know, she knows what she's doing in Mario Kart.
Yeah.
She's
just like, she's not the racing girl. She's the actual character that you play as.
Then you have other games which like have like blatantly sexualized a lot of women from games who usually weren't, like Metroid Zero or whatever it's called, and like really sexualized Samus with the Zero suit, whatever they called it. Mm-hmm. The new Tomb Raider game that's coming out to like reboot the franchise and give an origin story.
Yeah, they hella unsexualized her though for that though.
Not really.
I mean, compared to the past games, where it was like just
they changed the proportion, sure, but as far as like what happens in the game, no, not at all.
I mean, now she's covered in mud and like wounds and stuff instead of like her.
Well, the big controversy with it has been there's the one scene where the guy seems to be taking advantage of her.
It's supposed to be a realistic survival story, right?
Yeah.
And she's like a woman who's vaguely attractive in the wilderness with bad guys, they are going to.
But
that's exactly right.
Would that have happened in one of the previous Tomb Raider games? Aside from the fact that it didn't, I don't think that mentality was behind it.
But it's an origin game. She wasn't the previous Tomb Raider yet. She was a little scared girl. She had to
Okay, but there's also no narrative in the previous ones, really. Like, there's like just really goofy cinematics and stuff. Also
dinosaurs.
Yeah, but also like one thing I want to bring up after Wilson mentioned like why do they have to be ugly? Like the game Bulletstorm, I remember there was an article that came out pretty much with the launch that really pissed me off about the lead producer on this game was a woman, but she has a lot of other great games under her belt, so I have nothing against her. Like when I saw like what she's done. However, this article is about how the lead girl of the story, who you don't play as, she's just kind of like she's a support along with the Asian dude. How her design changed from what the lead artist wanted her to be like the sexiest thing on earth, right? And she said she completely nerfed it. She said, no, we're going to make her a strong, identifiable woman that the person wants to be and can respect and all that. And I was like, did you look at the rest of the game?
Yeah, exactly.
Is the rest of the game realistic at all?
Which applied to what part of that game?
Exactly. Look at the guys in that game. They're giant. Like the guys are made out of tree trunks or something. Like what the fuck? When is she like, oh no, I want this guy to be someone I can relate to. He just looks too much like a fucking piece of muscle,
Exactly, and that there is a good point. As a guy, I don't want to play a little bitch. Like we were just complaining about in this Far Cry 3 video that we're playing as a guy bitchier than us.
He is just a little,
Who wants to actually play a video game where you literally feel like you're more badass than the guy you're playing as?
That's true.
You feel like put me in that situation and I would fuck him up and do a better job at this.
Which makes you wonder why they want to isolate tropes versus women. Like why can't it just be like people tropes versus everybody?
Yeah, exactly. Versus humanity, whatever. Yeah, no one gets onto a game for realism. We can't say not for realism, but as far as characters go, like keep the realism in the dialogue and all that kind of thing, sure. But as far as I played this guy, I want a little bitch of a 16-year-old who can't do anything to to get into my games. No, I want to be a badass. Like if I'm shooting people in the head all over the place, I don't want to be a pussy while I do it. Like it's all about being badass. Like that's what video games are. Like who played video games to be the nerd that they are in real life?
That's the thing too. Like you get other games like Sims and stuff where you can create your character and.
Yeah, make him as much of a pussy as you want.
Yeah, well, it's not just that, but can you see people actually making the pussy-looking version of that? Everyone wants to, make an idealized version of themselves in those sort of games.
Well, that's true. Like everyone makes like themselves, but with crazy big tits and like a tiny waist and stuff.
Yeah, like it's
really,
not
really good guitar skill.
It's not just the freaking designers of games making characters like that. Like when we have an option to make characters, we always make them, Yeah,
exactly. When you make your own character, like, he's got a six-pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but when we look at games where like...
Mine has a beard.
Mine has twice the beard.
You look at a character... You look at a game where like, the character creation is like unable to produce it. Like, look at like Oblivion or you look at like Dark Souls where like you cannot make an attractive character to save your life. People complain about that then. Like they're like, what the hell's with the character? Not just guys too, the girls also. The girls want to make a cute character to be their avatar. And the girls just as well want to make like some ripped abs guy on like, Terra Online or something. Just like how we want to make a hot chick.
Yeah.
Hey, whenever I see a high elf male on Terra, I know that's a Fujoshi behind that computer.
It's so confusing. I'm like, what? Anyway.
I guess the other thing that you got to keep in mind is as far as this, especially this Anita girl, the tropes versus women one, she's attacking something for a demographic. No offense, Timaley, but like, guys are the ones buying the vast majority of video games.
Something like 80%. Well, actually, I don't say that, but it's still very large.
It's an uphill battle, and one that even when you win it, you really haven't affected that many people.
Exactly.
You've pissed off the vast majority of gaming's
or at least convinced a lot of them to kind of understand her point. I mean, I say her Kickstarter should succeed and she should go ahead and make the video and then, break it down by point and make your criticisms that way instead of just saying the whole thing is stupid, don't make it. And then you got people like sending death threats to her house and all that. It's ridiculous.
Well, okay. And yeah.
Yeah, by all means, like, put your opinion out there. I don't give a shit if you're different from my opinion. But, like, I just can't imagine, like, it actually convincing me, like, oh, man, I've been wrong all this time. Women need to be, like, need to be portrayed better because it's not like I can look at real women and know what they're like in real life or anything, you know.
You should look at the ratio in our conversation here right now. It's exactly the same. Like
It's
on a
an
broader
absolute
conversation.
sausage fest. We know.
No. Like,
3 Americans and 2
Susie, where are you?
Australians seems correct.
Wilson's not Australian.
Yeah,
Don't
fuck
get
you,
it.
man. You're not invited to this show ever again.
With games, I had something a minute ago until you guys kept talking.
Oh, I'm so sorry for hosting my own show.
Apologize.
Fuck you. Hey, like everyone's different, and we all just want to play attractive women.
Well, I guess, but looks are sort of a side of this. I mean, like she's really getting into the uselessness of the women in terms of story and how come they're not the heroes, that sort of thing. I mean, I think.
But there are things.
You gotta agree that
where you can
there's
play
not like a large
heroes.
number of like, you know, like dominant, powerful women who star in video games. But again, I think that comes back to the point that
demographic.
mostly men play video games. But that
Exactly.
number has shrunken a lot in recent years. But the number of female protagonists that you play as hasn't really increased. The last one I can think of, you have Metroid games, Bayonetta, and lots of smaller titles.
Yeah, and it was Bayonetta, like feminists complained also, even though she was like this crazy badass
Bayonetta
character.
was awesome. I love that
Yeah,
game.
like she was. If you're gonna be offended by Bayonetta, then I should be offended by Dante. But I'm not offended by
Yeah.
Dante, even though
Yeah,
he's
I
a
don't
fucking
care.
retard.
Hey,
I'm like, yeah,
I'm
I'll be
offended
a retard.
by new Dante, but
We know, Frank. We know.
He's only been talking about this for a long time.
But we'll go through these real quick, okay? Because you got the damsel in distress, which is this is the
Yeah,
the
that
five
is
thing
really
she's going
frequent.
through.
Yeah,
That
but
is
the thing
okay.
is though, like as a
And
writer,
so
like
it should be.
Yeah, exactly. As a writer, you need to
that's
give
also
an
like one of
incentive.
like the oldest tropes
Exactly.
there is.
Yeah, like,
And it always will be. And
Ow.
you know, there's something has been lost throughout the ages where a guy can't be a hero in his own life anymore. You know, like you're never going to meet that damsel in distress in real life. If you do, it's probably because she's, you know, got a fucked up life and some father issues and shit like that.
yeah.
So I mean, video games are escapism. In the video game, you're a old school hero. You know, you're the rough and tumble guy who's just gonna use his balls and grit his teeth and get through like all adversity to save a woman who cannot wait to see him when he gets there. Okay, absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's the dream.
That's
Like,
what
it's like-
fairy tales are about. It's the dream. It's yeah, exactly.
And
Okay,
no,
so I
but
don't see the issue.
on the other
Go
side
ahead.
of that, like girls want that to happen too. So we will play the male character to like fantasize about being that female character being rescued.
Or we can make
Exactly.
games for
But-
you where you
but
sit
don't
around in a
wanna-
castle for hours and hours
Exactly.
waiting for the
You want to play the damsel, do you?
No, I don't want to play the damsel. I want to play the
I know,
dude
I'm
trying to get the freaking. It'd be
Exactly, so, I
boring
mean-
to be.
Tim wants to spend 30 hours sitting in Bowser's castle.
Okay.
doing my nails, going, when is it? Where is it gonna come?
And this
Well,
one really
my
gets
pipe.
me. Okay,
Even
so
the
next
people
one,
that-
then.
But I was
Go
going
ahead.
to say, even the people that do want these fixed tropes or whatnot, you know, the new ones,
Yeah.
as you said before, it's a niche market in itself,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not completely non-existent in the games that are served towards them, even still. And also, another point would be that what these tropes are there for, as far as storytelling goes.
Uh-huh.
They're there to give a general outline of how a character should be set up. I mean, you have tropes for, as you said, both males, females, even supporting roles.
Yeah.
Yeah, archetypes are how a story is made. It's how characters
Exactly.
are set up.
Exactly.
It's how things
Okay.
relate out. Like, you need archetypes. You need to have, oh, this is that person. Oh, this is that person.
And for that matter, how many sub characters and side characters and background characters in there are male who are also useless and fucking unimportant to the story and don't
Yeah.
have a fleshed out story? I mean,
Tons of them. All the soldiers who are dying in the World War II games.
Exactly, so many of them. And
Yeah,
what Frank said actually led me to another point. It being a niche market like it is, okay, the way games are now, okay, for any type of gameplay that you enjoy, be it hardcore, be it adventure gaming, be it horror gaming, you know, all different types of gaming interests can be catered to now. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want feminist gaming, start making them. Make some feminist games. Just don't expect that they're going to be the big headline games. the big headline games are going to be what the 80% want to play.
And they are out there though, because there are games where like, on one hand they will have sex appeal, but on the other hand they do appeal to women because you are like some strong protagonist to a streamer.
But that's what I'm getting at.
Cooking games.
Is that if you're seriously that into the big feminist and you want a game that's just purely feminine action, that sort of thing, what's stopping you from making the game? Okay, but don't expect that Call of Duty is going to be that game, because Call of Duty is appealing to what the most people want to buy. The same thing with movies, the same thing with TV. What the most people want to buy is what's going to be made. Okay, and there's always going to be the niche things off to the side that you can't watch. So I don't see why attacking the overall market is worthwhile, because people are going to like what people are going to like, and that's going to change over time.
Yeah, that's especially true for this medium in particular, because remember we were reading that article where the guy was saying that why are there not like really fleshed out female characters? And I was like, well, because you're playing a video game. It's not like a novel where like the author has unlimited time to start develop these characters. I mean, you can make them really developed and fleshed out, and we've seen it done before in certain series and stuff. Like when you start to get to know like your party members' background stories in Dragon Age or what have you. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like with a video game, you have to establish characters quickly. That's why you have to look at the character and go be like, yep, that's the hot one, that's the witch, that's the the goody two shoes girl. Yeah. You have to be able to establish them quickly and make them identifiable. And then like you have to develop them while just trying to drive the gameplay forward. It's not about the narrative.
Exactly, while trying to keep gameplay going, because no one wants to sit there and purely narrative. At least
it's the exact wrong medium to complain about it in.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I
was just gonna say, I know for a fact that like I don't care about like the side character woman thing. I'm like, fuck this, I want to go kill things, let's go. I don't give a fuck about your background story. Like,
you're another kind of gamer that I like.
So you never had a point, Timaley, where you were playing a game and you were like, seriously, this is the girl in the game? Like, seriously? You never had that kind of reaction ever?
Oh, I probably have.
Because I know I have. I've had times where I was like, I don't find her attractive.
Yeah, but like, you just don't care because you want to, move on with other stuff in the games. Why would you?
Well, for me personally, like characters do turn me off. For example, like with Far Cry 3, we're talking about the gameplay is so great, but we just cannot get over how bad the character is.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, there's some games that, but
yeah, Jason himself. Because that game has Citra and she's badass as hell.
Also Voss, who is an awesome villain.
I think he's a retarded villain.
All right. Again, before we get sidetracked. No. We are not doing this. We are not doing this. The fighting fuck toy. This is the one that actually. This is the next of her tropes that she's attacking.
This is the one that she has the most legitimate reason to speak up.
Actually, see, it's funny you'd say that because this is the one I understand the least.
Really? Okay.
Okay, so she's a badass.
No, but what she's talking about here, the fighting fuck toy, is like say Dead or Alive or Soul Calibur. Like all of the girls are just pairs of tits with whatever.
I think Ivy.
Yeah, Ivy. Taki. I think that's what she means with that. And she does have a point because those games are like really as over the top as possible they can get. But that is the most sexualized characters you've ever seen in like
exactly. But in both male and females, because I mean like there's some ridiculous ass stuff in fighting games. Like that's just how they are.
Yeah, they're over the top.
Movies are ridiculous. Everything about that is ridiculous. Yeah, okay, chicks fighting in high heels, all that kind of stuff. It's ridiculous.
But at the same time, my favorite fighting girl is Hildy from Soul Calibur, who is like covered in armor.
Exactly. Yeah.
And has normal proportions.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, with that, but as you said, they do have the characters are both over the top sexualized in those games, and the ones who are, like you said, Hildy, just standard. So even then, it offers choices for both both preferences.
It does, and I remember playing Soul Calibur and being like, holy shit, I'm playing the total skank, and just totally laughing about it. It's not...
Yeah, exactly. It's campy. It's kind of... It's sort of a dorky form of humor. I mean... No one should get offended by it.
Yeah, why would you get offended by it? I mean... Oh my god, I'm playing a chick with just, straps around her tits and, barely covering her private area. Oh my god.
And her special was involved, like, wrapping her legs around your neck or something.
I know, but then you get that really creepy guy that, like, humps the air. It's like,
Baldo.
But yeah,
Valdo.
everybody remembers Valdo.
Yeah.
Valdo offends everybody.
Yeah. He makes you feel so violated when you. Oh man. I always hated
feel
getting people
playing
like,
that game
no.
now.
All right, so I guess we can move on from that one. I guess I was misunderstanding what her thing was. I guess.
I think we've done pretty good on the topic overall too. I mean, we don't have to go through
Yeah.
all of these.
Oh no. There's at least one to hit. The sexy sidekick.
Okay.
Which to me, okay, that's what I was thinking the fighting fuck toy was. My understanding is, okay, so you got a girl who can kick ass, okay, who's lippy, whatever, with the guy, and then is willing to, have sex with whoever it is she wants to have sex with. So she's a confident woman. That's what I don't get. Like,
yeah, it's like the modern.
Isn't that what you want to happen? The woman who can do her job, who can do what she wants, who doesn't take no shit from no man, and then has sex.
I think it's they put the sexuality thing before everything else. Like that seems to be the priority.
Okay, we talked about this just the other day, like off of the record and everything. Was okay. Years and years and years of evolution have geared us towards wanting to have children and wanting to bang the opposite sex, whatever. Okay, that's just what people do. So we are always, whether we want to or not, we're going to look at the opposite sex and we're going to judge them for like their, mating value. Okay, that's just
on a scale of 1 to banging.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, I don't care how much you're into people's personalities, all that sort of thing. When you first look at someone of the opposite sex, you have run the calculation in your head as to whether or not you tap it.
Yep.
The calculation has been run. I don't care. You can deny it all day long. Okay. Maybe when you meet them and you see their personality, you're going to change your mind one way or the other. But like, when you look at people, it's what's happening.
At the same time, like I want to see these videos because I'm not sure if she's just going to be exploring these or I don't know if she's complaining about these one by one. She could be saying like, yeah, the sexy sidekick is like, it's a archetype, but like it's a more positive one maybe.
Well, she certainly ought to have.
I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt because I'm assuming she's not a total moron or something. Like she has to know what she's doing.
I don't know.
Women are kind of moronic.
You were the right choice. You were the right choice for a guest in this video.
Susan would be like, I don't play games. I don't know what you're talking about.
I guess as sort of my closing statement for the whole thing, it would be that to get rid of these tropes would be to get rid of something that a lot of people actually cherish in storytelling. People actually really like. I mean,
not that people just cherish, but it's something that's like necessary in storytelling.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, by all means, add in more badass women. I'm fine with that. I like badass women characters. They're fun.
Right, exactly.
They're fun. They're interesting. But I also like the idea of a woman who's just devoted to one particular guy, and I don't see that as a weakness in character. Some people are at the risk of sounding like a little pussy here, but like some people's strength is in wanting to be, faithful, loyal, helpful towards one person. That's just
someone played Paragon.
Isn't that usually like a personality trait that?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. There are just people that live their life in different ways, and I think both ones are entirely valid types of person, and you can't discount one because you are the other.
Right, and like every hero needs something to drive him on, and there's always that saying that what makes a man strong is a beautiful woman.
Beards.
Exactly. I guess that the big complaint would be, why is it got to be a beautiful woman? Why is it all this sort of thing? Why does appearance have so much to do with?
But that's just society in general. Like we value too much
you make games.
Sorry, biology, but that's how it worked.
As far as games,
it's not like it's working in my favor. So I mean, why should it work in anyone else?
Shut up! You're married. Shut up.
Hey, don't tell everyone that.
Wilson's marriage once an episode at least.
I know.
So, as we said with the niche market, there will be games. I mean, that's what the indie scene's out there for, and a lot of PC and whatnot. Smaller developers on consoles.
Exactly. As long as there's enough, if there's a market for it, someone will cover the market. That's just how, that's capitalism, whatever. That's how industry works. Make enough stink and you'll get your game the way you want it. But I just can't see expecting that the mass of popular games are going to bend over backwards to accommodate a very small group of local fans.
Thanks for watching the Shay and Wilson Show. Check out our Far Cry 3 Let's Play video where Kyle and Frank join us for our romp through Insanity Mode. We're watching you when you touch yourself at night.